All right, joining us now is Democratic strategist, former deputy assistant in Secretary of State in the Obama administration, Joel Rubin. Joel, good morning. Great to see you. So help us understand what we saw yesterday, because there was kind of this confusing, misleading announcement from Hamas saying we've accepted this deal. The Israelis came back and kind of said, well, that actually wasn't the deal that we had put on the table. What happened?
Yeah, a lot of whiplash yesterday. Look, the Israelis had agreed to one deal, then Hamas agreed to a different deal. And basically what we have right now is Director Burns of the CIA out there in Cairo trying to close these gaps. So it looks like a lot of back and forth. Hamas did win the PR war, though, yesterday by saying they agree, they accept. But fortunately, the White House and others looked at it and really wanted to understand what was in the black and white, and it's not a done deal yet. There's this line in diplomacy: nothing is agreed until everything is agreed, and so it's not yet agreed, and I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, we talk about that on Capitol Hill as well when you're trying to get a bill passed. So, Joel, we saw the sort of celebrations that broke out when there was this deal that had been announced. Can you help me understand what are the dynamics between Hamas and the people of Gaza in terms of what they want to happen here?
I mean, look, the Palestinian people in Gaza have been traumatized, not just by this war, but also for more than a decade by Hamas leadership. This is a leadership that had come to power by killing other Palestinians, by killing the leaders of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza. They're repressive. They have been using funds that were designated for the Palestinian people in Gaza to build tunnels underground, to build military capacity, and not to provide the kinds of support for the people of Gaza they deserve. And so clearly the Gazan people are fed up. They want peace. When we see these scenes, we look at people who have no agency, no control right now over the decisions being made for them. And this is where the negotiations, the big picture is heading, is will Hamas still have control over Gaza on the day after, or will they not? And I think from the Israeli perspective, the answer should be and is a resounding no. And that's why we see Egypt and Qatar and other Arab states trying to throw ideas into the mix. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is very resistant to those ideas, but those are ideas President Biden backs, of having Palestinians lead Gaza and let the Palestinian people breathe. But Hamas has been repressive and a horrifying leader of Gaza for well over a decade.
So how do you explain and understand what the Israelis are doing in Rafah? Because they have made incursions there, but it is not the full-scale invasion that Netanyahu has said is coming.
A lot of bobbing and weaving here. I think the Israelis, they're trying to pinpoint pressure into Gaza, into the leadership of Hamas to say, we can come at will to get you if you don't agree to a deal to release our hostages. It's a serious pressure point. It's putting more pressure on the negotiators. It does not look like a full-scale invasion. They understand President Biden has said no to that, but they also domestically can't just turn away while the negotiations continue. They have to look at these Gaza leaders and say they need to be brought to a serious endpoint in this negotiation. I think that's what they're doing right now.
How does the looming election affect the relationship between President Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu on this?
Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu.
It's a really simple question.
A simple answer for you. Prime Minister Netanyahu, he had a great relationship with Donald Trump. And yet Donald Trump has been frustrated with him as well. I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu, he really looks at this for his own survival. At the end of the day, what he's doing is trying to stay in power as long as he can. Staying in power, paradoxically, like with Donald Trump, could keep him out of prison. He has a looming case against him in the Israeli courts. And President Biden is a strong supporter of Israel writ large. He's not a Netanyahu supporter, and this is one of the things he gets criticized for too much here domestically. He's an Israel supporter. And for him, and we saw with Senator Schumer as well in the Senate, arguing that they need to have different leadership in Israel. The president has not said that directly, but that's what the Israeli people deserve. Netanyahu's at 15% approval there. But for now, Netanyahu is in a survival game while he's also trying to make sure the Israeli people feel that they have a day after next to Gaza. But President Biden, I'm sure that if Prime Minister Netanyahu were to move exit stage left, tomorrow he wouldn't be shedding a tear.
Well, Max Foster and I, who we have on earlier in the hour almost every day, have talked repeatedly about Netanyahu's underestimating Netanyahu. Do it at your own peril.
Yeah,
basically.
A survivor beyond all survivors. He's been in the leadership post since the 90s, off and on. 3 decades is a long time. He knows how to survive.
All right, Joel Rubin for us. Joel,
Thanks,
thank you.
Casey.
I really appreciate it.